Haha! Alright, guys, welcome to Take Your Base. I'm your host, Flavo Rihanna, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Good evening, guys, on this November 4th, 2020. Alright, guys, I know I'm late. I'm late to the party. I'm making this audio, but I gotta say, I'm so happy right now. I mean, this is such an exciting time right now. If you're a fan, if you read the title, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a fan of the Mets, just because, not for nothing, but we've have been on the wrong end of the stick multiple times. We've had so many bad seasons. We've always been looked as the ugly stepchild of New York. And for those Mets fans that's been through it all, that's even, been through it, through the ups and downs. I'm not talking about being a Met fan, starting back in 2015 or even back in 2006. I mean, I'm talking about, I guess you could say 2006 is a decent amount of time, but I was born into a Mets family. I started really watching baseball pretty much around 1999. No, guys, I'm not that old. But to see the Mets, transition, I got a better understanding of the Mets in 2000. Fell in love with it with the whole fiasco of Piazza with the broken bat and Roger Clemens throwing the broken bat right back at Piazza. And then the next outing that they had, Clemens ended up drilling Piazza. The whole Subway World Series between the Mets and the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees ended up winning in 5 games. And you also have 2006, the Mets on this beautiful run. I thought that they were going to win it all. I think, to me, in my opinion, that was the best Mets roster I have ever seen. With Carlos Delgado, a prime Carlos Beltran. You got Jose Reyes in his prime, David Wright. Remember Jose Valentin on that squad, Cliff Floyd. You had Pedro Martinez. I mean, that was such a sick roster, guys. I mean, who knew Oliver Perez was going to have such a great Game 7 against the Cardinals in the NLCS? And, yeah, but they ended up falling short. Adam Wainwright, that nasty curve, freezing Carlos Beltran. To 2007, which was a horrible collapse by the Mets. They ended up losing what's it called? I think they had something of an 8-game lead with 17 games left, and they blew it. I mean, it was one of the worst collapses I've ever seen in baseball. And the Phillies ended up taking the division. No, I'm not crying, guys. Let's not even go there. And then to the whole Bernie Madoff scandal, the Mets not being able to make proper moves, making poor decisions by signing players like Jason Bay. You still holding on to relief pitchers like Aaron Heilman. Pedro Martinez was never able, had frequent injuries. Sure, we had in between 2006 up until 2015, you had Johan Santana throwing a no-hitter. That was great and all, but nothing really happened with Santana being at the helm with the Mets. Then you got 2015, beautiful run. It wasn't really expected at all. I mean, we flourished we ended up, I think, in my opinion, we just got very lucky on having Matt Harvey. At that time, looked like the best pitcher in baseball. Jacob deGrom, he's not Jacob deGrom what he is now. I mean, this is a young Jacob deGrom. We even had a younger Noah Syndergaard and a Steven Matz. Mind you, we didn't even have Zach Wheeler. Imagine we had Zach Wheeler in 2015. We probably would have beat the Kansas City Royals, but we ended up losing in 5 games. Heartbreak, because Matt Harvey was pitching his heart out in Game 5, trying to force a Game 6, but his ego got to the better of him, and then after that, we never saw Matt Harvey become Matt Harvey. We never saw Matt Harvey, return back to the Dark Knight. Matt Harvey is now, I don't even know where. I mean, last time I remember he was pitching for the Angels. I don't even think he's pitching for the Angels anymore. I think maybe the Royals, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's just such a bad twist of turns for Matt Harvey. And Yeah, and with the Mets, having a decent roster and failing to make the playoffs, even with with an expanded playoffs, the Mets finally luck up. Steve Cohen came to the rescue, and he ended up paying $2 billion, billion with a B, to purchase the rights to owning the Mets. He owns now officially 95% of the Mets, and the Wilpon / Katz family owns the other 5%. Smart move by the Wilpons. They'll always have some type of revenue coming in for the rest of their lives. Even if beyond Fred and Jeff's lives, their family will be able to retain revenue. But yeah, Steve Cohen officially now owns the Mets, and this is great. You know why? All right, so I don't know if you guys heard, but we're still in this pandemic, and many of teams have lost out on money. All right, but Steve Cohen hasn't. You know why? Because he was never a majority owner. Yes, he may have been a minority owner for the Mets, but he didn't own the team. That was Fred and Jeff Wilpon. All right, so since every owner in baseball that has owned a team in the 2020 season, they all lost some type of money. And why is this important? Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Cohen, his net worth is $14 billion. $14 billion. He is the second highest, richest owner, right behind Steve Ballmer, whose net worth is astronomical. He's worth $60 billion. This guy used to work at Microsoft. Steve Cohen used to work, I think he was a manager for Goldman Sachs, the bank company. So yeah, Steve Cohen is worth a ton of money. All right, he spent $2 billion, and he's a lifelong Mets fan, so that helps us in our favor. So what is he gonna end up doing? He wants to make moves. I mean, he already made moves on claiming Nick Tropiano and Jacob Barnes off of waivers within hours after his announcement, after his statement, after becoming owner of the Mets. So he wants to make sure that this team is competitive. I'm all in for that, because you know what? Me as a Met fan, we have been through so much suffering. We have been through a lot of losing seasons, and you know what? Why not us? We have a decent roster. We need better starting pitching. We need maybe one or two more bats in our starting lineup, and we definitely need to fix that bullpen. You've replaced Robinson Cano with another bat. You probably throw in two more arms in the bullpen, that are flamethrowers. You get rid of what's his name, Rick Porcello and Steven Matz, and you try to get in like a Trevor Bauer. I don't want Yu Darvish. I really don't want Yu Darvish. Get me somebody else outside of Yu Darvish. And come on, guys. I mean, we're ready to go. We're ready to rock and roll at this point. We're going to be able to compete. Now, there's many reports that the Mets are trying to build off like how the Dodgers are. They have a good farm system. They're loaded from top to bottom on their roster, bullpen, bench, starting lineup, starting rotation, you name it. They're loaded. If they end up building like that, the Mets are going to be, very successful. Even if they don't win the World Series, even if they're just constantly in the playoffs, that's a huge plus. Because you know why? Because the Mets really don't make the playoffs that often. And whenever they do, we go ballistic as Mets fans. So, what I want to see from Steve Cohen, you have George Springer, who wants to leave Houston. He's a free agent. You scoop him up. Go after Trevor Bauer. This guy is a NL Cy Young finalist. All right. He's alongside with Yu Darvish and Jacob deGrom. You pick up Trevor Bauer. All right. You throw him the bag. All right. Make sure that you have another ace on that staff alongside with Noah Syndergaard. You could bring back Marcus Stroman. I'm not really too in favor of him. Maybe that's just me being a little salty. Try to see what you can do. Try to take advantage of anything possible. Teams are losing money. Teams are throwing away players, all right, because they don't want to pay them. I mean, the Rays ended up cutting they ended up declining the options of Charlie Morton and Mike Zunino. I understand the Mike Zunino thing, but Charlie Morton, I mean, this guy has had a renaissance in his career. I mean, this guy's been pitching well. He's a big game pitcher, and to cut him, I mean, look, you're going to have teams like the Yankees, the Phillies, trying to scoop him up. You can scoop him up too, probably pay, cheap value for him. Michael Kay ended up saying it best. I mean, Steve Cohen's going to be shopping. He's going to be shopping on the clearance section, and the team's going to do better, right? Joel Sherman from MLB Network ended up saying that Steve Cohen, the difference between Steve Cohen and Fred and Jeff Wilpon couldn't really spend the money because of the whole Bernie Madoff scandal. All right, he is that parent that whenever you go out to dinner, he tells you can only order from the specials. That's it. You can't order the steak and the shrimp. Steve Cohen, who's worth a lot of money, he has the whole buffet, guys. He has the whole buffet. He could order the steak. He could order the shrimp. He could order the calamari. He could order whatever he wants. All right. He could have it all. All right. He could buy one of everything on the menu. You know why? Because he's worth $14 billion. He might not even care, how much he spends. He wants the Mets to win, which I'm in favor for. But do I see him spending an outrageous amount of money right up front? No, because he's a smart businessman, and he knows how to manage his money. He knows what to do. Him having Sandy Alderson as the team president, I love that idea, because you know what? Sandy Alderson was the architect that ended up helping the Mets get to the World Series in 2015. This guy knows baseball. He's a good baseball guy. You want to make sure that you have the right people around you so you can make yourself look like the best owner in baseball. You don't want to have, people like Brody Van Wagenen, who gives up a really good prospect for Edwin Diaz, and you have to chew up Robinson Cano's contract too, along with that. That's a bad trade, guys. That's a bad trade. So, the Mets are they're going to be able to take advantage of certain things. Colton Wong he got declined his option from the St. Louis Cardinals. He's a great second baseman. Brad Hand got cut from the Cleveland Indians. Mets need a bullpen. They need bullpen help. Longtime Yankee Brett Gardner. I don't think the Mets will go after him, but I'm just saying, he even got cut too. So there's plenty of options. The Mets, are in a fabulous position right now. They can go after whatever they want. There's rumors saying that they, don't be surprised if the Mets try to throw in a crazy offer and getting Francisco Lindor or Nolan Arenado. Look, I want a superstar. All right. Would you have to give up somebody like Jeff McNeil or Michael Conforto? Maybe. I probably wouldn't touch Michael Conforto. But if it means you have to give up Jeff McNeil for like Nolan Arenado, that's fine. Go pick up Colton Wong. You have somebody right there. There's tons of options for the Mets. I'm very happy to be a Mets fan right now. This is very exciting. I can't wait for the start of the new season. Now I know what it is to be a Yankee fan. When you have so many options at your hands and you know that you can't really mess this up. And when you have an owner that's willing to put the team first and wants to win, it's amazing. George Steinbrenner did it for the Yankees. And I just have a feeling that Steve Cohen's going to do it for the Mets. If he really truly loves the team the way that he says he does, I really do see that the Mets have a golden opportunity, and they need to strike while the iron's hot and take advantage of this, because I can see that the Mets win a world title inside of 3 to 4 years. All right, guys, look, that is everything for Take Your Base. I'm your host, Flavo Rihanna. I'm a very excited Mets fan right now. Let's go Mets, guys, please. Let's get this right. Let's get as many good players as possible. Let's spend the money, and we'll see what happens. I'll give you guys more updates throughout the week on any key free agents that sign with whatever team, whether it's the Mets, Yankees, Indians, you name it. But that's all, guys. You guys have a safe night, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right? Peace, guys. See you.